Hey everybody! Hello, 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 hello. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wait a few more minutes so we can get some numbers out. I hope you guys are hitting the like button because we're not going to start until we hit enough likes. Get enough likes up in here. We're not playing with y'all today. We're not playing. All right, let me stop. Welcome to the infamous Sylvia's channel, where we are doing a reenactment of what's going on in the courthouse. As you guys know, I am actually in the courtroom, so I get to see live and impersonal what's happening in the court of the Northern District of Illinois, where Judge Harry Linweber is the judge that is presiding over this case. We wanted to bring to you the actually what is actually happening in court. So, without further ado, guys, I want to bring up my cast. What we're doing is reenacting, and let me tell y'all something. I got my water ready. I got my water ready, y'all. I got my water ready. Oh, I gotta get 3 bottles of water for this one here, y'all. 3 bottles of water. 3 bottles of water. Because we're going to do this thing today. We're going to do it up. We're going to do it well. All right, y'all. Hit the like button. Bring your folks up on in here. Tell them, come on. We're doing a reenactment here. Hey, guys. Hey, 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 hey. I got my waters ready, y'all. 3 bottles right here ready. 3 bottles of water ready. Boom. All right. We're going to get started. You know what role I'm playing, right? You know what role I'm playing, right? You guys got me? You know what role I am playing. Miss VanAllen. All right. Let me introduce to you guys my cast. Hello everybody. You know I have to start with no music because I don't want them to come after me. All right, y'all ready? All right, here we go. Playing the court. Here is the court. Hey, Judge.
Hello,
How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
All
When I'm
right.
up,
And let me change the name here. Hold on a second. Let me just change the name right here. All right, Mr. Jason Julian is here. Hello, Mr. Julian. Hello.
Hello.
All right, guys. Without further ado, let me get my water ready, y'all. Let me get my water ready. All right, here we go.
United States of America, plaintiff versus Robert Sylvester Kelly, aka R. Kelly, Darrell McDavid, and Milton Brown, aka June Brown. Mr. Julian, you are up. The witness has been excused.
Has been
The
sworn in.
government calls Lisa VanAllen.
Witness sworn. You may examine the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Lisa VanAllen, government witnesses, sworn direct examination. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you please state and spell your name?
Yes. Lisa Van Allen. LISAVANALLEN.
How old are you?
42.
What month or year were you born in?
June 11th, 1980.
Miss Van Allen, do you know a man named Robert Kelly?
Yes, I do.
Generally speaking, how do you know him?
We dated a while ago.
You said you dated a while ago?
Yes.
Is the man you know as Robert Kelly sitting in the courtroom today?
Yes.
If you could you please, Your Honor, I would ask if you would have everybody drop their mask. We would stipulate that she can identify him.
Stipulate she can identify him. Mr. Kelly, go ahead.
Yes, he's in the.
We stipulate. Thank you, Miss Van Allen.
Sorry.
No worries. Did you previously testify in a 2008 criminal trial involving Mr. Kelly?
Sorry. Yes.
Did you testify against Kelly?
Yes, I did.
I will ask you some more questions about that later, but here's what I want to ask you about right now. Did you receive immunity prior to testifying in the 2008 trial?
Yes.
Miss Van Allen, if you could, would you please move closer to the microphone? Your last answer was yes.
Yes.
In your own words, would you tell the jury what you having immunity means to you?
That I. Excuse me.
Can I get some more foundation? Are you talking about 2008 immunity?
Yes.
Court.
That was the question, I think, wasn't it?
It was. You can answer the question.
I was to testify about my experience with Mr. Kelly and be truthful about that, and I wouldn't have to be charged for my participation.
You said that you had to be truthful. Is that right?
Yes. Excuse me.
Is that what you're here to do today? Be truthful?
Definitely yes.
Who's your understanding as to who you had immunity from back in 2008?
From.
Any sort of entity, any sort of government entity.
I didn't finish. What do you mean?
Any sort of entity, any sort of governmental entity.
From being charged by state and federal.
The state of Illinois in the United States?
Yes.
So now I want to ask you some questions about how you first met Mr. Kelly. So I'm going to go back in time. In what year did you first meet him?
1998.
How did you come to meet him in 1998?
I attended his video shoot Home Alone in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Did you go to that video shoot with anyone?
Yes.
Who did you go with, generally speaking?
A friend of mine, my girlfriend, she was an aspired singer.
Do you remember approximately what month in 1998 that video shoot was in?
Uh, it's that was a little blurry for me. I thought it was in the coldest month because was cold, but I believe it was later in August or something like that.
August of 98?
Uh-huh. Right. Uh-huh.
What, if anything, happened? Could you just tell us how you met Mr. Kelly at the video shoot, Home Alone?
His cousin Blackie came to me and he told me that his cousin wanted to meet me. And I asked him, who was his cousin? And he said, R. Kelly.
What happened next?
Um, he asked me in a little golf cart. He took me in a little golf cart to meet Rob, R. Kelly.
Did you meet him?
Yes.
Did the two of you and Mr. Kelly, have a discussion at that time?
Yes. He asked me questions. If I had a boyfriend, he asked me how old I was and would my mother let me come to Chicago.
You said he asked you how old you were at that time, right?
Yes.
What did you tell him?
I said 17.
Was that a mistake? Were you being untruthful on purpose? Could you just tell the jury why you told him you were 17?
At the time, I thought was truthful.
You just told us your birthday is June of 1980. Is that right?
Yes,
Were you in fact 18 on that day?
I was.
What, if anything, happened after this conversation and you said you're 17?
We had sex. Yes, we had sex. Oh, wait. Hold on. He asked me. I got lost.
15.
I'm sorry, I got lost, y'all. He asked me would my mother let me go to Chicago, and I told him yes. And we talked a little bit more, and then they had a break, and we went to his trailer.
Did anything happen in the trailer?
Yes, we had sex.
After that, after the two of you had sex in the trailer, what, if anything, happened next?
He went back to finish his video shoot. I stayed in the trailer and he came back later. And then when the shoot was over, we exchanged phone numbers and we went and caught up with I went and caught up with my friend and I was hold on. I went he called me later. I called him a month later.
When
He
you
asked me-
say he
Sorry.
when you say he asked you to call him later, who are you talking about?
R. Kelly.
You said you called him a month later?
Yes.
So I'll come back to that in a second. But I want to show you something right now. Are we in unpublished mode? I'm showing you what has already been admitted into evidence in Government Exhibit 104. Do you recognize the person depicted in Government Exhibit 104?
That's Robert. Robert Kelly.
16.
Yes. Yes.
Your Honor, I ask permission to publish this to the jury. It's in evidence. Court.
Robert Kelly.
Well, 19. The court.
Oh, the judge. Hold on. We lost the judge, y'all. We lost the
You
judge.
may. Ms. VanAllen, who is the person depicted in Government Exhibit 104?
Robert Kelly.
This depiction of Mr. Kelly that we're looking at in Government Exhibit 104, does this look about how he looked in 1998 when you met him?
Yes.
You said you called Mr. Kelly about a month later. Is that right?
Yes.
And generally speaking, what, if anything, did the two of you discuss when you called him a month later?
It wasn't a long conversation. Once he found out who I was, he asked me if I could come to Chicago.
Did you go see him in Chicago?
Yes.
Did you make arrangements to go see him in Chicago?
He put me in contact with his assistant, June Brown.
How do you know that you were speaking? Well, let me ask the question a different way. Did you talk to his assistant, who you just said was June Brown?
Yes.
How do you know that you were speaking to someone named or referred to as June Brown?
Well, he said that was his name. He called when he called me.
The person June Brown called you?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you and Mr. Brown discuss about these arrangements?
He that he was to send me money and I was to book my travel arrangement to come to Chicago.
Did you, in fact, receive some money from Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Did you make arrangements to go to Chicago?
Yes.
What happened when you got to Chicago?
When I first got there, a limo picked me up or a car and took me to the hotel. Once I got to the hotel, I was in contact with June Brown, and he picked me up to go to the studio to see Rob.
You said Mr. Brown picked you up?
Yes, at the hotel.
Is it fair to say that when you met Mr. Brown in person?
Yes.
I will
Yes.
come back to that a bit later. But Mr. Brown picked you up, took you to the hotel?
Took me to the studio.
He took you to a hotel and then you went to the studio?
Objection, Your Honor. She didn't say he took her to a hotel.
I'm just trying to clarify what you said.
The limo took me to the airport. Took me from the airport to the hotel, and then he picked me up from the hotel and took me to the studio.
Got it. What, if anything, just generally speaking, happened when you got to the studio?
I met Rob and different stuff. Listened to him with his music, talked, eventually had sex.
So let me just ask you about that weekend. Generally speaking, or rather, however long you stayed in Chicago, how long did you stay in Chicago on that trip?
It wasn't very long because I worked, so it was less than a week.
Generally speaking, during this trip, can you tell the jury what sorts of things you did on the trip with Mr. Kelly, if anything?
We ate, listened to his music, talk, had sex. That's pretty much that's pretty much it on that trip.
Did you go back to Atlanta after visiting with Kelly on this trip?
Yes.
Did you talk to Mr. Kelly when you got back to Atlanta?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did the two of you discuss when you got back to Atlanta?
Me coming back to Chicago?
Did you visit him in Chicago? Him being Mr. Kelly? More
Yes.
than once?
Yes.
So I want to ask you about, let me ask the question a different way. Did you eventually move to Chicago?
Yes.
Approximately how much time passed between the first trip when you came up to Chicago and saw Kelly and you moving to Chicago?
Not long. I think maybe I went back maybe a week or so later. He kept making me miss my flight, kept telling me to hold up, wait, you know, and I told him that I would keep missing, I couldn't keep missing my flight and I would get fired. And he asked me, what did I make? I told him, and he ended up giving me the cash. And it was no big discussion. I just stayed.
When you said he, you're talking about Kelly?
Yes. R. Kelly, yes.
I'm going to object. That was non-responsive to the question of how much time elapsed. I think she answered the question, Your Honor. It was non-responsive. I would like to know the answer.
Asked the question about how much time elapsed.
I think she said about a week or so. Your Honor, I was going, just in the interest of time, I was going to ask why she moved up, and she answered that as well.
Go on.
You mentioned that you had this conversation with Mr. Kelly. He didn't want you to go back, and you stayed. Fair?
Yes.
Are we still talking about 1998?
Yes.
Where did you live when you moved to Chicago?
I had I would always have a hotel room with my things, but most part I was with him in the studio.
Do you remember what studio it was when you say you were with him?
Chicago Tracks.
How many times would you say that you have been to that studio after you moved to Chicago?
I can't count. Probably hundreds. I don't know.
You said you were with him in the studio. Would you spend the night there? How much time would you spend in the studio? I'm talking about an individual session now when you are seeing Mr. Kelly in the studio.
The majority of the time we would be in the studio. Outside of him going to hoops or something like that, we would sleep there.
You said you would sleep there? Are there sleeping accommodations in the studios?
Mhm. Yes.
The jurors
Yes.
have never been. Can you tell the jury what the studio is like and what these sleeping accommodations are like?
Well, in his rooms, there were sleeping accommodations, beds, like a futon bed that would fold up and down, or a sofa, or but they would have some of them would have bathrooms. His main room, a bathroom, TV, refrigerator, microwave, like a studio.
If you were staying at the studio, would you stay there for like a few days at a time, or would it be staying at the studio and going back to a hotel?
I would go back periodically just because I wanted to go back maybe to take a bath or just hang out. They were there by myself or sometime, but most of the time I was in the studio.
When you say go back there, you're talking about going to the hotel?
Right.
When you were staying in hotels, do you know who was paying for these stays?
Yes.
Were you paying for them?
No.
Who was paying for them?
R. Kelly was
What was the nature of your relationship with Kelly when you moved to Chicago?
um sexual.
Would you say you had a romantic relationship?
Yes.
How often would you say that the two of you saw each other when you moved to Chicago?
Daily.
You said it was a sexual relationship. How often would you say the two of you were intimate when you moved to Chicago?
In the beginning, probably pretty often, maybe a few times a day.
A few times a day?
In the beginning, yes.
What's the beginning?
Maybe the first year.
Did that change at some point after that?
Yes. It was often, but not like a few times a day.
It decreased in frequency?
Yes.
Is there anything, as you sit here now, that stands out to you about the nature of the sexual relationship you had with Mr. Kelly when you were living in Chicago?
I'm
I
going to
want to.
object to the question.
Can you repeat that again?
It's very vague. Well, let's move along.
I can ask more leading questions, Judge, if that will speed it up.
All right.
Did Kelly say things to you when the two of you were having sex about the sex?
What noise to make, what position to do, how to do them
Those things.
sexually. Yeah,
He was telling you those things?
yeah, he would tell me what to do.
Did he tell you to call him anything particular while you were having sex?
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Judge, Judge, I don't.
Daddy.
I'm going to object to the relevance of this. She was a
I don't see the relevance.
an adult woman at the time, at least under the law. So I'm not sure what.
Is there an objection?
Yes.
Okay. Sustain.
Did Kelly videotape the two of you having sex?
Yes, most of the time it was when we did threesomes.
I'm sorry. What was the answer?
Yes,
You said something else. I didn't hear you.
most of the time it was threesomes.
You're saying he videotaped you when you were having threesomes?
Yes,
He didn't videotape when it was just the two of you most of the time? Is that what you're saying?
most of the time. Yes.
Would you say the two of you were in an exclusive relationship?
On my end, yes.
What do you mean by that?
You're saying exclusive? Like only him and I? Yes. But because he would, sleep with other people, and I'll do threesome with him if he wanted to.
What were your interactions like with other people, particularly other men, when you and Kelly were together?
There?
I'm going to object, Your Honor, on relevance. It's extremely relevant and it becomes obvious. Court.
Court, what are you doing? Sleeping?
No, my mic wouldn't hit. I wait a minute. I don't see the relevance either. Sustain.
Okay, I'll rephrase the question. Were you allowed to speak to other men in Kelly's presence when you, I'm going to object, were with other men?
No.
To the relevance of that question,
I don't see the relevance of that.
could we have a sidebar, Your Honor?
All right. The following proceedings were had at sidebar.
Y'all see all the sustain
Yeah.
that Jean just got? A whole bunch, right? Okay, come on. Yeah.
Ending
Let
of
me ask,
sidebar proceedings.
let me ask you the question again, Ms. VanAllen. Did Kelly allow you to speak to other men in his presence?
No.
From what you observed, did he allow other men to speak to you in his presence?
No.
Did he allow you to make eye contact with other men in his presence?
I'm acting just the way she act, y'all. No.
Did he ever hit you after you moved to Chicago?
Yes.
If he did, and when he did he tell you why he did it?
Yes.
Why?
Because I didn't listen to daddy. If I spoke with someone and laughed at a joke they may had or something like that.
You said that that's why he was doing that, because you didn't listen to him?
To daddy, yes.
Have you ever visited Kelly at his home?
Yes.
Which ones?
Olympia Field, the one. What is it? George Street or Washington? What is it? George Street? I think George Street by the Enterprise.
So I'm going to show you what's marked and what's admitted in evidence is Government Exhibit 112A. And I asked to publish this, Your Honor. It's been admitted into evidence.
It's in evidence, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You don't need to ask permission to publish them. Go ahead.
Have you ever seen this residence depicted in Government 112A?
That was the water bottle falling. She dropped the water bottle. Sorry. Approximately
23.
Okay. 23. Oh, look, sorry, y'all. Yes.
Which residence is this?
George Street by the Enterprise.
Approximately, when was the first time that you visited Kelly at the Chicago Street residence?
1998.
How many times would you say that you've been to this George Street residence?
Maybe 10 times? It wasn't a bunch of time at this house.
You said you visited him at a residence at Olympia Fields, is that right?
Yes.
May we publish for a moment? When did you visit Kelly at his residence in Olympia Fields?
It was a few years later because I wasn't built. It wasn't built yet. Maybe around like 2000, something like that.
Showing you what's marked as Government's Exhibit 122. Do you see what's depicted in front of you? Government's Exhibit 122?
Yes. Yes.
What does this appear to be?
The Olympic Fields home.
You said you first visited him at his residence in about 2000?
Yes.
Did you visit Mr. Kelly at his residence in 2007?
Yes. Hold up, y'all. I gotta get my tissue. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. I have to get the tissue ready, y'all. Hold on. I'm sorry. I forgot the tissue. Sorry. Hold on, y'all. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, guys.
Based on what you're looking at in Government's Exhibit 122, does it fairly and accurately depict the Olympia Fields residence as it appeared at about 2000 and as it appeared at 2007?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I move for the admission of Government's Exhibit 122 into evidence.
Any objection? Hearing none, it's admitted. You may publish it. Said exhibit was received in evidence.
Jason? Jason.
Julian.
Okay, I was told to stop reading.
You want to stop or keep going?
No, I was told to stop reading.
The sergeant has spoken.
Guys, get the likes up. She's not going to accept it unless you guys get the likes up. She's the person in charge of the chat. So, guys, get the likes up if y'all want to hear the transcript. Yeah, this is exactly the way she did. The water was gone. She had to open up another bottle. I'm telling. That's why I'm doing 3 bottles, y'all. I'm acting just like her.
That's crackhead tendencies.
Y'all get the likes up. She's not playing. I gotta wait for her to say get the likes up. Got 67 likes. Guys, get the likes up. She's not playing with y'all. Y'all gotta see the crying scene now. I got my tissue ready for the crying scene. I got my tissue ready. She said for sure kind of drug issues. She wants 5 more likes, y'all. She wants 5 more likes. She wants you guys to get to 90. She's not playing with me. She gave me my warning. It ain't me. No, Carolyn, you can like more than one. 5 more people is 85. She wants 90. It's 170 you guys in here. Somebody go out and hit the like button. Replay gang, we apologize. She wants 2 more, guys. 2 more. 1 more, guys. 1 more. She's not playing with y'all today. Yeah, I got to show you my acting skill. Okay, got it. All right. We're on line
14.
14.
Ms. VanAllen, earlier you told the jury that you met June Brown in person when you moved to Chicago. Is that right?
Yes.
How often did you see June Brown after you moved to Chicago?
Fairly often.
What kind of places would you see or interact with? Would you see June Brown at?
The studio, in the vehicle, basketball at hoops, basketball court, things like that with Rob.
In vehicles?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Sometime he would pick me up or take me somewhere for Rob or something like that.
Your Honor, I would ask everybody to drop their mask for a moment. Judge.
We will stipulate.
Your Honor, I think the defense is going to stipulate that Ms. VanAllen can identify Mr. Brown.
Yes, the record will show.
Do you
The
know a
record
man
will
named,
so show.
do you know a man named Daryl McDavid?
Yes.
And generally speaking, how do you know Daryl McDavid?
He wasn't
16.
sorry. He worked for Rob.
16.
No, you
Okay.
16.
Okay. Did you meet Daryl McDavid after moving to Chicago and having his relationship with Kelly? Having this relationship with Kelly?
Yes. Yes.
How would you describe the frequency with which you saw McDavid or interacted with McDavid after moving to Chicago?
It wasn't often, but I met him a few times. Sometime I would go to his place of business and maybe to pick up a check or cash or something like that.
Have you ever had a conversation with McDavid?
Yes.
More than one?
Yes.
Have you ever spoken to McDavid on the telephone?
Yes.
Is the man you know is Daryl McDavid sitting in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Your Honor, we will stipulate that she could identify. Stipulate she can identify the defendant McDavid.
Can we publish for a moment? Unpublished for a moment? Do you know someone, Miss VanAllen, who we are referring to during this trial as Jane?
Yes.
How do you know Jane?
Through Rob. We had a threesome.
Just one?
3.
And approximately what year did you first meet Jane?
1998.
Can you tell the jury about how it was that you first met Jane?
We met at the home on George Street. We were in the what you call it, the log cabin room. Me and Rob went in there, and we went upstairs, and he went upstairs and got Jane and came back down with her.
Before you met Jane, did Kelly tell you anything about who Jane was?
He said she was his neighbor.
Did he tell you how old she was
He said 16.
at that time?
Yes.
You said the two of you all met in a log cabin room. Is that right?
Yes.
May we publish? I'm showing you what's been admitted into evidence as Government Exhibit 112D. What's Government Exhibit 112D?
That is the room that I call the log cabin room.
How about 112F
That is the room as well.
and 112G?
That is it as well.
What, if anything, happened after the three of you, Kelly and Jane, were in the log cabin room?
We had sex, a threesome.
Was there a recording device present while the three of you were having sex?
Yes.
What kind of recording device are we talking about?
A camcorder. It was on a tripod. It was like a tripod
How do you know that there was a camcorder and a tripod present?
because I saw it and Rob put it up. And the tripod, he stood it up and put the large camcorder on top.
You say you saw Kelly doing this?
Yes.
Was it before or like during sex?
Beforehand.
Did you see while the two of you, or the three of you rather, having sex, Kelly adjust the camera in any way?
I'm wiping the table like she was wiping the table off. Yes.
What ways did you see him do that?
Just different ways, like make sure the different angles to make sure it was right on us, all the camera.
And I apologize for having to ask you this, Miss VanAllen. Could you just tell the jury like what happened? You said the three of you had sex. What happened during the episode?
We had we had we had oral sex and intercourse.
Was there anyone telling you what to do during this encounter?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Who was that?
Robert.
What sorts of things was he telling you to do?
Moan louder. Kiss. Move a certain way.
Did you eventually watch a videotape of this sexual encounter?
Yes.
I will come back to that in a couple of minutes, but you mentioned that there were 3 times that you, Kelly, and Jane had sex. Is that right?
Yes.
I want to ask you about the second time. Approximately how much time passed in between this first time in a log cabin room and the second time that you, Kelly, and Jane had sex?
The second time was probably 1999.
Where were you when this happened?
It was a basketball court. It had Space Jam picture in his home.
Showing you what's submitted into evidence is Exhibit 112J. What's depicted in 112J?
The room that I spoke of, the basketball room, the court.
And is this at 1010 West George Street?
Yes.
Is this the room you were talking about?
Yes.
So what happened in there between the three of you on the basketball court?
He put the futon on another floor, another room, and we had a threesome, which would include oral sex and intercourse. Ma'am, you're supposed to be reading. Where'd she go? Y'all, Julian. Y'all, we lost Julian. 10 minutes later. Hold on, here comes Julian.
Was this interaction videotaped?
Yes,
How do you know that?
because he set up the tripod and the camcorder.
You saw it?
Yes.
What kind of camcorder are we talking about, by the way? Is this something that, from the observations of it, is this something that would take tapes?
Yes, VHS tapes. It was tape. It was a tape in it. I guess you pop them in and then push it and record it or play.
Is that true as well for the episode you told us about in the log cabin room? The same kind of recorder?
Yes.
Did anybody tell you what to do during this particular sexual encounter? The one on the basketball court?
Yes, Rob.
What, if anything, did he tell you to do?
Sometimes moan, kiss, lay this way, that way, do this.
During this particular encounter, did you express any sort of reservations about doing this?
Yes.
Having sex? What did you express?
I started crying.
Did Kelly say anything about you crying?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said, what was he going to do with this? You know, with you crying in it.
What do you mean this?
Like, I guess because he wouldn't have been a good footage to watch, you know. So I started crying
Why were you crying?
because I didn't want to do it.
Why did you do it?
Because he asked me to.
You said there was a third time that you met Kelly and Jane had sex.
Yes.
So we are in the 99 for the second time, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Approximately how much time? I object to the leading about the dates. That's kind of important here.
He just repeated it. Overruled. Go ahead.
I think you testified earlier that the second time was in 99.
Yes.
Approximately how much time passed in between the second time and this third time that the three of you had sex?
I think it was like 2000, maybe. It was at the video shoot.
What video shoot?
A woman's threat. Remember that one. Remember woman's threat. A woman's threat.
What happened at the video shoot?
We went back to the trailer, had another threesome.
Was it videotape?
Yes.
Whose idea was this threesome?
Rob's.
You said it was videotaped. How do you know that it was videotaped?
Because it was on a tripod and camcorder.
Did you see him set it up?
Yes.
Was this encounter interrupted in any way?
His like team came in, his publicist Regina Daniel, some of the people from the video shoot, they came in, so he had Jane run out into the bathroom naked.
Kelly asked Jane to run into the bathroom?
Yes.
Did he ask you to run into the bathroom?
No.
I'm going to move forward in time a little bit. Court.
Judge.
I will. I think we will take a recess now for 15 minutes.
Okay,
All rise. A brief recess was taken at 11:31 a.m.
Okay, I got to go to the bathroom for real, y'all. Hold on.
Go ahead. Change your court reporter.
Okay. Oh Lord, I'm acting like her for real, y'all. I did have to go to the bathroom. Okay, here we go. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Mr. Julian, are you going to play the tapes?
Not with this witness. I have very minimal exhibits left, and they'll all be pictures.
In jury. All rise. Please be seated.
Yeah, Miss Adams, I think you're right. I better fake the water drinking. Oh, I think you're right, Miss Adams, because
Mr. Julian, you may continue your examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. VanAllen, before we broke, you told the jury that Mr. Kelly would sometimes videotape either you and him having sex or you and other people having sex. Do you know do you know where Kelly kept those tapes he made of you, him, and others having sex?
in a duffel bag.
How do you know that he kept those in a duffel bag?
You could hear them shuffling in the bag when he put it down or carrying it or walking with it. And then eventually I went into the bag and saw them.
How often would you see Kelly carrying around that duffel bag with tapes, either making a noise or a bag that looked like that you looked in and saw tapes?
Often he have it with him most of the time.
What sorts of places would he go carrying that duffel bag?
On the tour bus, at to hoops to play basketball.
Hoops, is that the name of a gym?
Yes.
And he played basketball there?
Yes.
So I want to change gears and kind of come back to June and the things you told the jury about a little bit earlier. After you had sex with Jane those 3 times you told us about, without getting into specifics right now, did Jane make a statement to you about an upcoming birthday?
Bonjean?
You gotta say yes.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Objection, hearsay. It's just a yes or no question at this point, Judge. Then I withdraw.
Over. Okay.
Ms. Van Allen, when Jane made a statement to you, did it have an effect on you?
Yes.
Objection. Judge, this is just a backdoor way of getting at hearsay. This statement, frankly, is
It's not for the truth, presumably.
not, Your
Mr.
Honor. It's not, Your Honor.
Go ahead, overruled.
You mentioned that the statement had an effect on you. Is that right?
Yes.
Would you say that that's a positive effect or a negative effect?
Negative.
Did you do something or decline to do something as a result of having heard that statement?
I didn't want to have any encounters with her. So yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What did Jane say that affected you and made you either do something or not do something? Okay, I think that is now hearsay or calling for a hearsay response. It's not being offered for the truth, Judge.
It's not for the truth, so overruled. Effect on her.
That she wanted to that she would get a PT Cruiser on her 16th birthday.
And approximately when was it that Jane made this statement to you? When I say when, I mean about what year was it?
About 2000, 2 years after their first encounter.
Why did Jane say anything? Say, why did Jane say that she was going to?
Hold up, y'all. Hold up. Did you hear that? About 2000, about 2 years
Mhm,
after their first encounter. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all see that?
mhm.
Yep.
2 years about after their first encounter. Go ahead.
Why did Jane saying that she was going to get a PT Cruiser for her 16th birthday have an effect on you?
Because I was told that she was 16 prior, 2 years prior to that.
And what, if anything, you said you did something or declined to do something as a result of having heard the statement. What was the thing that you either did or did not do as a result of having heard Jane's statement?
I didn't want to do it anymore threesome. I didn't want to do the first one, but definitely I didn't want to do any more encounters
And why was that?
because she was 14. She had to be 14.
Miss Van Allen, do you know a man named Keith Burrell?
Yes.
How do you know Keith?
She got nervous at that point.
Was water dripping down too?
Yeah, she dropped water on herself. Yeah, she did. I'm doing exactly what the girl did, y'all. Okay, I'm being exactly like her. Extra.
How do you know Keith?
He was one of Rob's artists.
When you say artist, do you mean what do you mean by that?
He sung in a group called Talent.
And when you say he was one of Rob's artists, did you have some sort of understanding as to how he was one of Rob's artists?
He was a singer in the group Talent.
Were they assigned this group talent? Were they assigned to Kelly's record label? Is that what you mean by one of his artists?
Yes, I believe so. Yes,
And when did you first meet Keith?
I met them. I met them in the hotel room,
Which hotel room?
Holiday Inn downtown Chicago.
Do you know about when that was?
Probably about 1999, 2000.
So about
Something
99 or
like that.
2000 at a
Something like that.
Holiday Inn downtown.
Yes.
What's the nature of your relationship with Keith Burrell?
He was a good. He was. He was a good friend. My internet's acting up. Can y'all hear? Can you hear me? My internet acting up.
Yeah, a little sketchy, but we can hear you.
She's gone now. Hold on. This is
I'll
our
be back in 2 minutes.
Home Alone. Okay, Home Alone video, 2000. Guys, she said Robert's. I mean, their first encounter. Y'all hear this? Home Alone video was in 2002. So how would that make? How old would that make? That girl, 1984 to 2002. 1984 minus 2002. She would have been 18.
What was the nature of your relationship with Keith Morrell?
He was a good friend.
Are you still in touch with Keith?
Not really. I mean, he's on Facebook, and every now and then he might text me through Messenger on there, but not really.
When was the last time that you say you communicated with Keith?
A while ago. The last time is when I guess he hit me up about that Chuck stuff and the stuff about, he said Chuck wanted to reach me.
And when you say Chuck, who are you talking about?
Freeman. Freeman, Charles Freeman. Did I hear me? Hello, y'all hear me?
Now I do.
The internet's starting to act up. Sorry, guys, it's starting to act up. Freeman, Charles Freeman.
You gonna read Brentley?
No, y'all. Judge, are you gonna read Brentley? Your Honor, I'd like to get some foundation. Maybe counsel is going to lay it as to when this incident he's talking about happened. Judge? Did she say, hold on for a minute?
He says a while ago, but you probably could do better than that. Ms. VanAllen, this incident you're telling the jury about, Keith reaching out to you about Chuck Freeman, when was this?
It was about, not that, about a year ago or something like that. Not too long ago, maybe 2 years.
And what we're talking about and what you're talking about, having a contact with Keith about Freeman, do you know who reached out to who? Like, did Keith reach out to you about Chuck, or did you reach out to Keith about Chuck?
Keith reached out to me. He hit me up on Facebook, and then I went back and told him, asked him, did he think what he think about it was truthful, what he was and what Chuck said, something like that. So it was like a kind of back and forth thing. But he initiated it, I guess, let me know that it was Chuck's number calling me back, and I didn't know who it was. Y'all, she just lied, because in the y'all gonna see in the well, y'all not gonna see it. In the text message, she reached out to him and he said, hey you. It was her that reached out to Keith.
And this is something a year or two ago, you said?
Right.
So I want to come back to 2000, 2001, about the time you first met Keith, or maybe you've known him for a little while at this point. How did you said you were good friends. How did you become friends?
That we were staying in the same hotel that I had my things at, and periodically I go back there and eat because I like the food at the hotel, and had it was more, basic stuff like pizza, wings, things like that.
How did you go back to the hotel to eat? Lead you to and Keith becoming friends.
What's his name? Ernest. Ernest saw me with, which was another band member in their group. Saw me going to my hotel room, and he knew that I was with Rob, and he knew that he couldn't speak to guys. That we couldn't speak to guys and things like that. So he kept trying to trying to talk to me, and hey, things like that. And he kind of thought it was like a joke because I really wasn't trying to speak to him. But when I got back to my room, I tried to call Rob to tell him that he kept trying to talk to me, kept trying to talk to me. And Rob never called, came to the phone. So after a while, I was just like, what? You know, to the guys. And we became cool. I met the rest of the group and told them that I was ordering food, and they explained to me that how they would get they were only getting 25 a week, and they were hungry, and I would order them food.
So you all bonded over food?
Right.
I want to change gears and come back to some things that you told us a little while ago. Was there ever a time when you were left alone in the studio with tapes that belonged to Kelly?
Yes.
Where were you? Like, which studio were you in?
Chicago tracks.
And where were you when you were left alone with those tapes?
In Rob's main room, which was like, it looked like a studio apartment. It had a sofa, the big screen TV, like the floor models, the refrigerator, microwave, the bathroom with the shower. Now,
Now, this incident, you being left alone with these tapes, do you remember about what year that was in?
2000.
Do you remember about what part of the year? Like, was it early, mid, late?
No,
Okay, where were these tapes you said you saw you said you were left with you?
in a duffel bag.
Were you usually left alone with the tapes?
No,
And what, if anything, happened when you realized you were alone with the tapes?
I went in the bag.
Why?
Very interested in, what was in there, and if the tape was with me, was on it, the where it in there.
You were looking for the tape of you?
Yes.
So you're looking through a bag of tapes. Was there some other apparatus in the room? Some other thing? Like, did you do something with these tapes you were looking through?
Yes. I went through them and popped them in the VCR, which is, like a big box that would put those VHS tapes into to play them like on the TV, and I watch a few seconds of them and forward them, and to see if I was on them. And I saw plenty of them with different women, different girls. I don't know how old they were, but different ladies, people, on them, and I kept looking at them until I found the one with me on it.
Why were you looking for a tape with you on it?
Because I didn't want him in possession of them, Robert.
Why not?
Because I didn't want to do it, so I didn't want him looking at them and having them in his possession.
And when you say it, what do you mean?
The threesomes.
You were looking for a tape of you having a threesome specifically?
Yes.
Did you find it?
One of them.
I just want to ask you some questions about that tape. What do you remember, if anything, viewing on that videotape that was of interest to you? You can take your time.
In the first part, it was him and Jane having well, the first scene was him and Jane, and she saw he kept giving her water so she could drink, so she could pee. And then the second scene was Jane again, and it was like in a bedroom, and she had some white lingerie. And then the third scene, the scene was me and him and her and Jane.
So I want to ask you about the first scene. You said that it appeared to you that it was Jane. How do you know it was Jane on the video?
Because I know what she looked like. She looked exactly the same as when she was when we had our threesome. The threesome that was on that tape, on the tape
Was Jane on that video by herself?
with him,
Who is him?
Rob R. Kelly.
Was it just the two of them?
On the first one, two scenes, the last one
I want to ask you,
was me.
7.
Was me. I said it. Was me. I said it. Can you hear me? Y'all, we're having a hard time here. She did not hear me. And court lady, where you been?
I'm right here, but I hit my computer and I went down too far. Tell me what page we on.
Page 1834, line 7. Was me, Mr. Jason.
About the first scene? Just asking about the first scene right now. Was it just the two of them?
Yes.
And you said that he was giving her something to drink?
Water. Y'all remember, hold on, y'all. Remember Jane said he was giving her alcohol? You see what she said? He was giving her water. These stories these people keep making up is just inconsistent. Okay, go ahead.
About the first scene. What line were we on?
Yeah. No, you were right. You're right.
About
Number 13. Number 13.
Do you remember what the setting was, or did you recognize the first setting for the video, first video?
Yes.
How did you recognize it?
It looks like a living room. It's had the checkerboard floor.
What color was the checkerboard?
Black and white.
Had you seen that floor in person before?
Yes.
And when you said it looked like his living room, which residence are we talking about? Olympia Fields or the 1010 West George?
1010 West George.
You talked about seeing that she was drinking some things. Do you remember any things that were like, do you remember hearing the two people, Jane and Kelly, talking to each other on the first video?
Yes.
Is there anything that sticks out to you from viewing that first video? Did you remember one of them saying, if anything?
He would have her drinking the water, and they would talk about her 14-year-old pussy.
Would you hear anything? Would you hear saying? Who would you hear saying that?
Both of them. They would say it, but one on the time him on that time him.
So now I want to ask you about the second video. You said that it was a bedroom and she was in some white lingerie.
Yes.
How do you recognize two people on the video?
Because it was the same two people I had a threesome with.
Jane and Kelly?
Yes.
You said that you got through those two scenes and then you found a video that you were looking for. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, earlier you talked to us about an interaction. Well, you talked to us about a few interactions. What was depicted in the third video that you found that was of interest to you?
At the end of it, it was us having threesomes in the log cabin room.
And again, I'm sorry to have to ask you this, Miss Van Allen, but what did you remember viewing when you viewed the video of the three of you in the log cabin room?
It was us having sex, oral, and things like that.
Who was who was doing what to whom in the video that you watched?
It was all of us having sex, oral sex, and things like that.
Do you remember as you watched it, as you viewed it, receiving any sort of direction that was being directed to someone in the room on that third video?
Yes, yes.
Who was the person giving out directions?
Rob or Kelly.
Who were those directions being given to? Earlier, you testified that it was you. Was there another person?
Rashawn. Oh, I'm sorry. Jane and I. I'm sorry. Rashawn. Hey, look, they write it out. Look, they write it out. I know what you said. Rashawn. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Gotcha. Okay, I'm sorry.
Your Honor, could we go to a sidebar briefly?
I'm sorry.
Proceedings heard at the sidebar on the record. End of sidebar.
So I want to set the scene for the jury. You're in a room, you say it's Chicago Tracks, going through a bag of tapes.
Yes.
How did you feel about going through those tapes?
Disgusted.
Were you nervous at all?
Yes, very.
Why?
Because the VHS tape was big, loud, noisy. When I popped it, I'm popping. Wait a minute. Hold on. When I'm popping them, then it takes a while for them to play, and I rewinded them and things like that. I was afraid that he would walk into the room before I was finished looking through them, and the one I was looking for,
Who is he?
Robert R. Kelly.
Why were you afraid that he might walk in the room and see you looking through the tapes?
Because I wasn't supposed to be in the bag. I was sneaking.
And what, if anything, did you do after you found the tapes that was of interest to you? What did you do?
I went back to my hotel room.
Did you keep the tape?
No.
What did you do with it?
No.
What did you do with it?
To Keith in Kansas City. I sent it to Keith in Kansas City.
Why did you send it to Keith?
I wanted to get it out of my possession.
Why did you want to get it out of your possession?
Because I didn't want Rob R. Kelly to find it, to know I had it.
I want to fast forward. Miss VanAllen, did you eventually leave Kelly and move away from Chicago?
Yes.
Approximately what year was that in?
That was in 2000.
Why did you leave?
I was just tired of doing nothing. Really, my life was just frozen. I wasn't doing this. I was doing the same thing every day, going to the studio, staying at the vacation house at the time, shopping, having sex with him or threesome. You know, by my life was pretty much on pause. I wasn't succeeding in any way myself.
And where did you go after you left Chicago?
Back to Atlanta.
So now you're back in Atlanta. You left Mr. Kelly. Did the two of you keep in touch after you left?
Yes.
About how frequently?
At first regular. I saw him July 4th that year.
Did Kelly ever leave any of his jewelry around you after seeing him? Or did you keep any of his jewelry after you saw him?
I left. He left it. Yes.
And what items of jewelry are we talking about?
It was a watch.
Was it a Rolex?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
He left it in my hotel room. He was supposed to come back because we were supposed to go that night out. We were supposed to go out that night, and he never came back. The watch was there. I didn't tell him it was there. I assumed he would know it was there. So I never said anything. He just never asked for it, and it kind of sound had some kind of baffle had me baffled because I was like, how many people he is visiting that would he doesn't know where he left it.
Where were you when this happened? City and state.
I don't remember. Atlanta, Georgia,
And do you remember about when that was?
2000.
Do you remember being around a cross necklace or Kelly leaving a cross necklace around you?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
I don't remember all the details, but it was pretty much like the same situation. He left it around me, didn't bring it up. I didn't bring it up either. He didn't bring it up, and I didn't bring it up either.
What happened with that cross necklace?
I sent it to Keith.
And why did you send it to Keith?
The same situation. I didn't want it in my possession.
So, in summary, during the period of time when you moved back to Atlanta, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, did Kelly ever ask you about the videotape that you took from the studio?
Not not at that point. Not until 2006.
The same period of time, 2001 through 2006, did Daryl McDavid ever call you and ask you about the videotape you took from the studio?
Not at all. Not at that time.
How about June Brown, the same situation, the same period of time? Did June Brown ever call you from '01 to 2006 and ask you about the videotape?
No,
Did you ever keep a copy of that videotape?
I did not have it in my possession.
You sent it to Keith?
Yes.
Did you ever send a copy of that videotape to someone in Atlanta?
Only Keith.
In Kansas City?
Yes.
Now, earlier we talked about a guy named Chuck Freeman. I want to ask you about Chuck Freeman briefly. How do you know Chuck Freeman?
Through Keith.
Do you have a relationship with Chuck Freeman, independent of Keith?
No.
Are you friends with Chuck Freeman?
I wouldn't call him a friend, maybe an associate through Keith.
Would you hang out like a person with Chuck Freeman?
No. 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 Can y'all hear me? No. No. Can you hear me? No. Yeah. Can y'all hear me? No. 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 Can y'all hear me? Chat, can y'all hear me say no? Because she's not hearing me. Okay. Okay, because it's driving me crazy. I keep saying no, no. Okay, thank you, chat. She can't hear me. She can't hear me. Court, do you hear me? Powerful, do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but you're low.
Hello?
Yeah. They
Would
hear
you
me
ever
loud and clear. They hear me loud and clear. Y'all don't hear me. Something going on with this internet connection, y'all.
would you ever hang out with a person like Chuck Freeman?
No.
Did you ever tell Chuck Freeman that a copy of that videotape we've been talking about was with some people down in Atlanta?
No. 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 Yeah. Can y'all hear me? She can't hear me.
I hear you now.
Okay. No.
Miss VanAllen, I want to fast forward a few years to 2007 now, and I'm going to ask you about
Yeah, I can't hear her. Do y'all hear her? Do y'all hear her?
Not now. She's muted.
They hear her.
Excuse us, we're having some technical difficulties.
Yes, y'all. We having technical difficulty. We having issues here, y'all. We can't hear each other. They don't hear her. Oh Lord, we're trying, guys. We're gonna end it right after this one because we're having problems. We'll start it later on. She can't hear us, y'all. Mr. Julian, unmute yourself. Mr. Julian, unmute yourself. All right, y'all. Remind me we're on page 1842. We're on line 17. 1842, line 17. Can you hear me? Yeah, something's wrong going on with your connection over there.
Oh
We're gonna
no.
end it and then we're gonna like do it later on. We're ending it at line 17, page 1842. 1842, line 17. Thank you, Tijuana. So line 17, 1842, okay? So we're gonna end this. We'll start this later. We'll start in another, what, 3 hours? Okay? We'll start after 5. You know why, right?
Okay.
Gonna take care of some business. We're gonna take care of some
You
business.
said we're stopping in what?
We're starting back later on tonight at around I gotta take care of business. Did you
All
hear
right.
me?
I hear you. You
Okay.
may have another court, but okay.
Another court.
You may have to pick another judge depending on what time it is.
Oh, okay.
And we'll discuss it. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.